Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to The Joy is in the Journey. What a gift it is to be here with you today. I'm Gina Colvario Krupka, and I am a practitioner, blessed to be here in service as part of this network, part of this beloved prayer team, and the host of this show, Finding the Joy in the Journey. And this show is just that, finding the joy in the journey. It's not waiting till we reach our destination. It's not looking for something we don't have. It's being right here, right now, and appreciating life as it is. And that's not always the easiest thing to do because we are not conditioned in our society to do that. Too often we get caught up in when I have this, when I get there, what I call destination happiness, as if my joy, my mood, my everything depends upon something outside of me. There's one thing I've learned is that we are born with all the good stuff, and anything worth having most is within us. And it's always a choice. So every week we come to you with different wonderful guests, and we get the opportunity to talk about, well, how do they stay in their joy? What do they do? How do they celebrate life on life's terms? And what does it look like? And how do I practice that? Because it's great to say, wouldn't it be wonderful to have more joy in your life? Who wouldn't want that? But we give you the how to. So, my guest today, I am so happy to have on. She has been on before. I think actually this is her third appearance here on Finding the Joy in the Journey. She is just a gift. She is pure light and she radiates that out to the world. I'm speaking of my fellow classmate and ministerial student. She is not just a senior, she has finished her classes, she has completed her exams, and just sitting for her panels. That's the last step to being the minister that she is. She is a gift. This is a woman, Christina Jones. She's a practitioner through CSL, but she's so much more than that. She has something that I can identify with almost a whole nother life before we got to this point. And, she worked for Fortune 500 companies. She's been a coach for better part of a decade. She's in all aspects of coaching. And, she also has done modeling and acting and restaurant management, a little bit of everything. But her heart is based in service. And that's how she found her way to many different aspects of, CSL, of course, where she's at Mile High in Colorado. But in addition to that, she's worked with various nonprofits. She worked with the local law enforcement agencies, which is how she met her husband, and, crisis intervention, all types of different women's shelters, as well as the Boys and Girls Clubs, and just so much service. And that call has called her to ministry. So the last thing I want to share, she's in Colorado with her beloved husband and her fur babies, and they just had snow yesterday. We're getting snow today, actually tomorrow. And I am bringing in the beautiful and just that light presence. Christina, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you, Gina. That was so beautiful.
I am blessed to call this beautiful woman my friend. And, you have a passion, and I share that passion, which, helping individuals find their light to transform their life. And that power of love, compassion, that power that, within us is so strong, but sometimes it takes someone else to guide us there. And I know that you are gifted at that. So, what, how are you? Let's start with that. After this whirlwind year, at the end of this past almost 2 years, and the holidays and all that's gone on, how are you?
I take it day by day. The sharing with you before the call, having a friend and her family right now in crisis. It's like, it's not about predicting the future. It's about being in the present moment. That that's where I am. So right now I'm good. Like I'm looking outside my window. We have snow on the ground. It looks like a Christmas card. I'm with you, Gina. I'm with everyone else. You know, everyone is. We're all in this together. That's the whole thing. Even if we don't
Yes.
know each other, we're on this beautiful blue ball of love called Earth. And one day at a time. That's how I'm doing. One day at a time.
Thank you for the honesty in that too, because it's so important. And it's not to say all is well. And
Mhm.
some moments are tougher than others.
Yes.
Stuff happens. And I can know all is well because spirit's got it all, because spirit is it all. And I can also experience other aspects of that within that allness.
Yes.
And one of the things we talk about here all the time is we do not do spiritual bypass. We do not pretend when we're not okay. We are in the moment and being honest within the moment, and you take it as it comes. And sometimes that is putting aside certain things until we get to the next thing. And sometimes it is, well, there's no putting anything aside. This is where I am.
Yes. Be honoring the feelings that you are in the moment. Like what you said with the spiritual bypass, I find that can be dangerous because it turns into numbing. Because emotions will come up. They may not come up in that moment. However, if you bypass it, it may come up 5, 10 years later or at an inappropriate time. So,
Well, it also manifests.
yeah.
That's that dis-ease. It manifests in our body as dis-ease at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, it's important to remember that it doesn't go away. It's still there. The pressure, the feelings, the emotions, they're always still there. It's just whether or not I'm addressing them.
Yes.
Denial does not fix anything.
No. And humans have tried that for hundreds of thousands of years. It's not working.
And sometimes too, we're so good at denial because that's our society of that life of, especially I find, especially women. Well, women and men do it differently, because I'm not going to go there, because they just do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Women, we have to handle different things than men, and men aren't supposed to show emotion. So we do it differently. Women, it's one of those things we're not supposed to allow it to affect us. And we have to be strong and push through while we handle it all.
Yes.
And men, they're just not supposed to be affected by it. Then there's not supposed to be any emotion. Rage is acceptable for them. It's not for us. So there's different, we get these roles, which is all BS. It's all, where were we taught these things? It's a joke when you think about it.
Yeah, it is a joke. Yeah, those roles are actually a form of the human ego that has created a facade. When you go back to our teachings or many other teachings, including Hinduism, there's only one. There's one light, one love, be it male or female. It takes that duality out. And that actually brings you back to present moment, because duality keeps you in the past or wondering what's going to happen in the next hour or the next year or the next week. The present's all we have.
That's the present is the soul. That's it's always in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
The ego is the one that wanders.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have so many people wandering.
Yeah.
And that's where fear crops in. That's where anger, that's where the numbness of addiction, that's where the less than, feeling
Mm-hmm.
not good enough. All that stuff is all our ego. And we have the opportunity, to adjust. Like I often say, fix my eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's one of, that's a full prayer for me. Fix my eyes that I might see this rightly.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because it's never about someone or something else. There's always something in it for me. When I'm disturbed, it's about me.
Yep. Yep. It is about you. It's like that's the inside work. That's the inside job of even taking a moment and saying, okay, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm disturbed, I'm uncomfortable. Say that sometimes I say it out loud to myself to kind of, is to acknowledge it and dissipate it.
Yes. Takes the power away.
Takes the power away. So you're not all like the hamster wheel, just going, going.
It also takes the denial away.
Yes.
Well, it's really not that bad. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes I've heard myself say it out loud to someone, and I think, really, that's what I allowed to take away my peace. And then there's other times that it validates it, and I say, okay, I see the why, and now I can let it go. But if I don't ever address it, it just festers.
Yeah, it just festers. And that's part of, I see that that's a new awakening and a new beginning.
Absolutely.
So, to prevent, because we are at choice, we have we have to be willing to be centered enough and grounded enough to stop the old patterns.
Absolutely.
Which helps you move forward. In the present moment, helps you move forward.
And also it's the knowing, because I also have done all kinds of coaching, and we, as coaches, it's so easy to hear because we're not in the bubble. We're on the outside looking in. We can hear. So tell me what's going on, and we can hear it. But when it's our lives, there's a difference. There's blind spots. Unfortunately, those emotions or habits or patterns that we've had or that were implanted in us by our parents can often give us those blind spots. So how do you realign yourself when you're feeling out of sorts?
Sometimes I have to just stop doing whatever I'm doing. I mean, literally just stop. I might go outside, look at the sky, stop whatever the pattern is, because it's a pattern. So it doesn't go any further. It's like, or just one day I just sat on my bed and just went, just breathe. Just literally took a break. And then the break might turn into a prayer. It might be something of even just saying help. Saying, Spirit, I don't know what to do.
And that's a full prayer.
That's
for those people out there that don't necessarily, that is a full prayer. Just like thank you is a complete prayer.
Yep. Thank you is a complete prayer. Yep.
Help is also. And tears are healing. It's important people realize. Let them flow. If there's emotions that are coming out, let them come out. Yes. Music breaks me open all the time. Even if I don't feel like there's anything going wrong, I can listen to the lyrics of songs that I barely know, and it just breaks me open. Really listen to the words of songs. That's a meditation in itself, to just pay attention. And it's amazing how many songs we've listened to again and again and again, but never really listened to the words.
Yeah, and the meaning behind the words.
Yes.
Music has frequency. I want to go back to what you said about tears or healing. They're not only healing, if you look at it in a chemical standpoint, there's salt in tears. Well, people use salt for healing baths. So that salt that comes out, that's also healing, like there's salt rocks. So if you even look at a biochemical standpoint, that healing with those tears from the music, going, really listening to the words and even the sound, or even the one thing too, sometimes when I'm driving and it's a full day or a lot's been going on the planet, I listen to music with no words, because just, classical music or Tibetan gongs, or, even one time I listened to a jazz band, no singing, and was just the rhythm, the drums, the beats, the trumpets, all of that. That affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, so many different levels.
So there's different ways we can draw out whatever might be stuck in that way too. It's important to remember that whatever's going on, we can sit with it and it's not going to hurt us.
Yeah.
Oftentimes in my life, I kept so busy so that I didn't have to pay attention to me. because I felt like I could fix everybody else and I could get outside validation from everybody else. But no matter what I did, I didn't feel like I could help me.
Yeah.
So I kept, or if I did, it's selfish. I was raised that self-care is selfish.
Oh,
So it was, that the lies that we've learned. So, it's amazing. I never learned to stop ever. I didn't know how. Like I really didn't know how to stop life. Like you said, just stop, take a minute, and just I I would say for the first 30 some odd years of my life, maybe 40 almost, that I didn't even know how.
yeah. And some people don't, but that is one of those moments you reach out. In the beginning of this beautiful conversation, it is the reaching out, because that's part of the self-care. Because then you reach for help, coach, minister, practitioner, therapist, what have you, to say, I can't stop, just like what you said.
You have to know there's something wrong with it.
Yes, you do have to know.
That's the other trick, because people are very happy with you when you're doing everything for them.
Yes, they are.
So they're not going to stop you and tell you you're doing something wrong. So it's been an interesting ride for me. What stopped me, honestly, was cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 major cancer surgeries that knocked me, that I couldn't after the second one I couldn't even walk. So it was literally, I didn't have a choice. And I had to ask for help, which
Yes.
was so uncomfortable, so out of my wheelhouse. I didn't know how. You
Mm-hmm.
learn, and that's how I learned. So I teach these things now because it's so important for me. I want to tell people, well, don't wait till your body, because something's going to give. There's always a breaking point.
Something's going to get. Yes.
Don't let it be you. Don't let what breaks be you. Because that's dis-ease. It comes from that. That's just what it is. Dis-ease.
Yes, but and you don't have to wait that long. Well, I'll use this as an example. I do believe, even people that aren't in these teachings, the human spirit's very intelligent, and a lot of women, especially, don't stop. And I know a lot of men that don't stop, but there's something deep within that tells them to slow down. So a lot of time the signs come before a disease, before a cancer. And sometimes the human with us ignores it, and that's the spiritual 2x4. One of the blessings I feel of this time, including the beginning of the shutdown, look at how many people, at least I've seen it, start to review their life. That's the blessing of the virus. They did slow. The universe slowed us down. The government's like,
look at some of there are a lot of different things that have come up, that it's one of those things. It's when you really look at it, when you think of how it affected the elderly, especially in nursing homes, and how many people were just put in nursing homes and forgotten about. So now all of a sudden they couldn't go see them, and it was a big deal.
Yes.
So it's, we hopefully will treat our elderly better.
Yes.
As a result of all this, we will honor who they are and see as it's not about fragile. It's about caring for them.
Yes.
It's just really being in a place of honoring our elders, which we, unfortunately, as a society, our culture is not strong in.
Yeah, but we're waking up to it. That's what I feel.
It's the beginning. Yes, we're in
the beginning of a huge wake up, a huge revolutionary internal and external spiritual call. And as I say that, my great Pyrenees just came to visit. Yeah, his an agreement. Yeah, it's a wake up call on so many different levels.
Yeah,
on so many.
Now, I know you feel like that what we've been going through is that it's that new consciousness, a new everything coming through. And it took, I think, that age of Aquarius took a while to catch up, basically.
Yeah.
We were expecting the year 2000 to be like boom, but it took a little bit of a reverberation. It took us to 20 instead. We were expecting the Big Bang at 2000, like boom, everything was going to fall apart. Instead, it was 2020.
Yeah. It's everyone. Well, it's like expect the unexpected. Like that old phrase I used to. I'm pretty sure you heard it. My grandmother would say it, that we make plans and God laughs, because the Y2K, and in my heart, I knew I worked in the electronics industry then, and we were all laughing because it's like, what's this zero thing? Why is everyone freaking out? Everyone went back to work, nothing happened. But who knew? Well, some of us did.
Imagine.
I felt an energy the end of 2019. I felt something big coming in 2020. So trying to expect, oh, everything's going to go upside down. It's like, no, now we're in it, in
Yeah.
the age. We're literally in a new age. We're in a new yuga. We're stepping into an age of enlightenment. And with that, the old a lot of times has to fall away in order to give birth to something beautiful, a new consciousness. Even like you said, people are getting more awake to the elder care, to the planet, to nature, to more green, cars and energy. So we're starting to see there is a lot of positive going on.
And I am a true believer that there's an answer to any question in the one mind. And
Yes,
there is no fear in me that we've gone past a point of no. There is nothing spirit can't fix. There
nothing.
is nothing that there's not an answer for. I truly believe that. And it doesn't mean that we continue to make it worse, but we do need to turn it around. At no point, you have to right the ship, otherwise, it goes right off the. But, at some point, it has to turn around. But there's an answer to everything. So
Yeah,
fear is not it.
no.
It's a matter of, okay, now what do we do as a collective? How do we then, and it begins within each individual.
Yes, it does. And well, it goes back to what I said. The fear to me is like futurizing and pasteurizing. Pasteurizing, I came up with those little words a long time ago. Think about the past. What happened to the past does not have to happen now. And the fear of future, well, what if this happens? And what if, it's like, okay, you're not present.
The only thing we can, well, tomorrow is created by what we're thinking now. So if
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the problems of tomorrow, I'm going to create those problems
Yes.
because it's a creation of what it is I'm doing and thinking now.
Yes.
So sure, we can create our own, and you could say, "See, look, I told you," because
Yeah.
you created it. But it's one of those. It's that cycle that people get caught in, and it's like, "See, I told you." Yeah, you go right ahead and create more of that negativity, and we get a choice, and sometimes it's inherent, and it was always like we don't know how not to, and sometimes it
Yes.
is, I, as positive as I am, my husband is the yin and the yang, and my husband is on the other spectrum, on the other side. If there's a negative way to look at it, he finds it, and I'm like, really? But he's wired that way.
Yeah.
And it's just he's wired that way. We can rewire.
Yes, we can rewire.
So I encourage people that, think we're thinking in a Pollyanna way, and which I personally don't find as being an insult, just saying. But we get the opportunity to rewire our mind to think in that positive way.
Yeah, and every day, every moment, every second of the day, we have a beautiful gift of free will, a beautiful gift of choice to stop that cycle. And we can only rewire our minds. That doesn't mean rewire someone else's thinking. I mean, we're to support where they are, but not to, and teach, listen, hear their perspective, but first of all, to do our own inner work in that moment of rewiring for a better outcome, a better future for ourselves, for a better future for the world. And when you were talking about like the age of Aquarius, we're like the new yuga we're in a new frequency. The veil is off the planet. People I've noticed with myself manifesting things quicker. I've been telling clients that I see, be careful, really now, be aware of what you were thinking of and what you're focusing on, because it's manifesting very quick, which is good and can be interesting news depending on if you want it or not.
And it is true. It's being very mindful
Oh,
of
being very
everything.
mindful.
And it's just being conscious. And again, it's not about fear. It's never about fear. It's about presence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, really being aware of thinking about what I'm thinking of. And one of the gifts is when we are consciously choosing, there's a much stronger frequency than when we're in default mode.
Yes.
So when we know and we know that we know, there is so much more light brought in than that dismissive, but I don't know,
Yeah.
that fear. So it doesn't take the same amount. That's the other thing is like, well, how do we get to mass consciousness? We don't know the number, but I know it includes me. It
Yeah.
includes you. And if
Yes.
you're watching this, it includes you too. We each need to be in that place of knowing and
Yes.
choosing that next positive thing. And it doesn't mean we're not paying attention. We are paying attention and
Yes, we are.
consciously choosing peace, consciously choosing love. There's nobody that knew the hardships and the worst parts of humanity like Gandhi or Mother Teresa. They saw the
Yes.
worst of it, yet
Yes.
they knew peace and love and compassion better than any. It
And
wasn't
look,
because they didn't know it, it's because they knew it and chose.
well, even look at the beautiful Desmond Tutu, who is now on the other side supporting us, and Nelson Mandela. They knew like they knew. And if I may briefly, I'll share. I remember my mother and I went through challenges through my family's divorce. I was homeless. And I remember at 17 looking myself, this is before these teachings, in the eye and said, I will never be this poor ever again. And trust and believe. No, there was a belief, there was a firmness, there was no regret. And I still see that time as a blessing because I know what it feels like. So it was a teaching moment. And within 1 month, my life shifted. I got a huge modeling contract. And I mean, I'm talking life altering. Went through zero to $60,000 in a week. And I know it was when I looked myself in the eye in this wave of energy, I was speaking into law and didn't know it. That's
We
the
manifest, we're creating all the time. We're creating.
yes,
You talk about, I know Jim Carrey talked about writing himself that $1 million check, which at
yes,
the time was most people would laugh at, but he
yes,
knew that he was writing this and it was going to be his. It's knowing and knowing that and not, this is your divine birthright. And what are you claiming? So I was wondering, what are the rituals you have? What are your personal things that you have as far as coming into the new year? And I know yours is a little different. So I would love to hear. Tell me about that for you.
All right, for me, I had shared with this before with Gina. The new year, I look at it more from a solstice standpoint of where like Christmas came from, bringing on the light. Even though I acknowledge and tell friends and family, Happy New Year. I even felt the shift Christmas night. It felt more not like Christmas to me. It felt like a new year. So for me, it was writing intentions, but first it was like, let's release some things. Like there's been lost friendships have shifted in the past 2 years for me. It was more like, okay, write their names, lovingly bless and release themselves, lovingly bless and release my attachment, any beliefs that I had for its forgiveness word. And yeah, and releasing like physical things like clothes and extra books and seeing what can be moved so the new can come in. Because I believe the New Year's Day, or if people do a solstice thing, it's not one day. Right now, you could set an attention this week. We're in the energy of the new moon, between a new moon and a full moon. You can even set it now. It's not like, oh, January 1st, I didn't do anything but sleep or eat or watch football. let that all go. Start where you are. And one of those things like I'm going to do a vision board soon for that. For what do I feel is coming in? What do I want coming in? Something like a focus. Um, Setting a new calendar for myself of spiritual practice. Doing a real plan and truly sticking to it no matter what. Even when things come up, it's like, and okay, I take a pause, support someone else or support myself, and let's get back to the task at hand. If it moves to the next day, it's okay. Oh, I couldn't hear you, Gina.
Sorry about that. I said that's one of my challenges, the discipline. To make myself and stay in that routine, to get used to it and to stay there. That it can be definitely, it can be a challenge. And that's okay. We're adults, we get to choose and choose and choose again. But it's about making ourselves accountable too.
It is. Well, I'll use an example since I'm in Colorado and we had the fires. I live about 45, 50 minutes. I know that area very well. Used to drive through those neighborhoods and drive through Superior and Louisville. I've been in Colorado now 23 years. And that day I was stuck in a windstorm. I mean, I was driving through, my husband did too, hurricane force winds. And it was like, okay, well, it's going to take me longer to get home. My phone was blowing about fires. My a dear practitioner friend, her sister had to literally run out of her house. It was like, okay, I was going to do this and this when I got home and cook, clean, and organize. Like, it was okay that day. And then our power went out at 5:15 for 4 hours. So anything that, if I was going to do any type of my work, it was more like I plugged in the landline and was calling people and, are you okay? Even texted a minister, are you okay? They're talking about this town getting evacuated. We're fine. So that day things were on pause.
And life on life's terms. Life on life's terms.
Yeah, on life's terms. It's like, yeah, I had all these great plans. I didn't know I was going to come home and have no power and drive through 100-hour and the fire and everything. And that morning was like, I turned on the news, I prayed, and people were still texting. And little bit by little bit, I was getting back into a routine, and I'm aware of something else may show. It's called life. Something else may show up one day, and I may have plans to get with you. Say the internet's not working. Okay, here we are.
We do the best that we can, and we go with the flow. Life is, it's not about rigid either. But I want people to know is that they get the opportunity to choose, especially in this new year. And I had a conversation with a friend earlier today. What do you want? What do you want? Like, we talk about our birthright of freedom. You get to choose. If you're not happy, do something. And I say it like I want to shake someone. Like, if you're not happy, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yes.
So reach out, And while I'm thinking that, I'm going to put you up here. And bear with me. I want to put your contact info up here. If anyone wants to reach out to you for coaching, a practitioner session, whatever it may be, they can reach out to you. Also, they can follow you on Facebook.
Yes.
So, and I know you're going to be doing some prayers with us too. You're going to be doing some morning and evening prayers with us. So I'm excited about that at the network. What are your other plans?
Wow. Well,
because I know you've got, you're this close.
Yeah, I'm this close with paneling. Some other plans is committed to completing my book, one of my first books. That's for this year. Another plan is to also support CSL, and another plan is to start my own also YouTube channel of having conversations and like doing a TV show and a talk show to have people like you, Gina, come on and let's talk about what comes up. We may make a plan and then something shows up and let's dive into this. We're gonna table this for another time. So yeah, there's a lot that's in the field. I get a lot, seventh generation intuitive. So there is a big list that has been in my field for over 20 years. And now it's starting to culminate, come together. And then I listen. That's the big thing. I listen. Because in the past, when I have questioned my intuition and wanted to argue and reason, and the a lawyer in me comes out like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I have worked at ministerial school for over 20 years. The calling was when I was a kid. And so now I'm not ignoring. It's like, oh, I better do this because we know what happened last time we didn't listen. So yeah, I'm going with the flow, and I'm going with the flow of the universe. A lot of times I get the word pause. A lot of times I get the word pause. Take a day, take a break.
It's important. It's important for all of us that and there's a difference between pausing and taking a break and being busy with, like, sometimes we need that, that like binge watching or something like that. It
Yes.
can be fun,
Mm-hmm.
but it also can be a distraction from what is really calling.
Yes.
To be still and know
Mm-hmm.
is my favorite saying. I actually have it here. Be still and know
Yeah, I
is
love it.
actually my favorite. That's how I began with anything, but especially meditation. That
Mm-hmm.
was what I started with. That was my call to center again and again and again. Would just be reminding myself and saying that almost like a mantra.
Yeah.
And that's far different than doing other fun stuff or mindless stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes we need mindless. That's fine.
Yes.
And sometimes we need that spiritual connection.
Yeah, it's balance, and especially now. I mean, I grew up in a time where, I mean, when I remember when cable came out, and when I went to my grandmother's house, and I was all excited. I got to see what cable was. I was excited to see MTV. That was cool. But then I remember I spent the night there, and my grandmother monitored anything that I was watching. And looking, um, reflecting back, maybe in the engineering software world for over 18 years, I'm grateful for technology and the amount of content that's on, Netflix and everything. It's all fun stuff, but there's got to be a balance, because you could just lose yourself
Yeah. And
just
I think
watching everything. Because it's just
a
so.
lot of people do actually.
Yeah.
It's its own addiction. We have
Yes.
we are we are in a society of bigger, better, faster, more. And I'm not going to say that I don't fall into it too much. Here and there, I also fall into, you know, I'll tell you, Christmas time, the cheesy Christmas specials. That's the Hallmarks or the Hallmark like ones.
Yeah.
Oh, guilty pleasure. I'm not going to lie,
But
but
it's fun.
sometimes it is, and it's okay. And
Yeah.
then there's other times that isn't a distraction from what I'm really called to do. So
Yes.
it's having, like you said, the balance of it.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I wanted to bring up that well, I don't know that I want to bring it up, but it's one of those things I think the day is too important not to.
Hmm.
If you're watching us live, which of course you can always comment, we'd love to hear your comments. Please feel free to join in the conversation. But today is January 6th,
Yes.
and the siege on our capital was the most frightening thing that I ever watched in real time. And I watched 9/11 unfold. And I
Mhm.
watched in Rhode Island, the station fire was one of the biggest things that we saw too. The
Mhm.
scary, the frightening. I mean, there were so many, we've watched these things, but to watch our nation's capital being
Yes.
overrun and then to be a year out when half of them are trying to still say, people that were there, the Congress and the senators, they were there, and they're trying to say, no, it wasn't that bad. Meanwhile, you were in the building. Like, what do you mean it wasn't that bad? Like, what are you kidding? I am. I think it's important that we bring it up.
Yes.
because it's an example of calling a thing and really evaluating where we are and being mindful of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of emotions. It really is a perfect visual of what's going on in our country in the past couple of years. Unfortunately, it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how frightening what's gone on in our country the past couple of years is.
Mm-hmm. Well, sadly to say, last year at this time, my husband and I, we were at, he needed to decompress, and I was getting something was going to happen because that was the day of the signature that Biden would be official. And it's even interesting on the news how people said they knew. And I felt it. And I personally did not want to be home. And when we got back to our hotel room, my husband's like, turn on the TV. We knew something happened. Phone was going off and everything. For me, wanted to break, and we knew. And going back to what you say, people ignoring this isn't that bad. The one thing is, here's the blessing of it. They were, I will say that there are people that were warned and they never thought. Fingers and ears, it's not going to be that bad. It really was a wake up call to the whole country. Not everyone got the call that this is a wake up call to an underbelly that has been in our country for not like 50 years, but over 100 years. Okay, well, it was like, you need to see this. Even it was sad. I've gone to that Capitol over 9 times. I used to live out there. I love what it stands for. I love democracy, and and being married to someone in law enforcement and these police officers. I watched their stories, their wives,
Oh,
everything. Hear what I feel is the healing. Where some people said that might happen again, I said I don't feel it will, because now when you hear, like they said, even the FBI said there was scuttlebutt, there was stuff, and we didn't think they would. Well, now when you hear things, at least take action. Don't sit there and say, I hope, I hope, I hope. It's like
well,
now,
there was more than that. It was on
yeah.
purpose.
Oh, yeah, it
And
was on purpose.
the
Yeah,
person that
absolutely.
was at the top was the one that was throwing the party, so
Yeah,
on, quote unquote.
absolutely.
And actually today tried to again,
Yes,
and
try to again.
stopped them. They stopped him from basically doing anything.
Yeah, they
But
stopped it. So that's the
but,
good
but
news. It
there
was
is
all
still a
stopped.
narrative. There is
Yeah.
still a lie of a narrative from
Mm-hmm.
the sides.
Yep.
And I'm not here to. I don't want to. We're not here to talk up or down anybody. Just simply
Mm-mm.
to know the truth is truth,
Yep.
and to be in the light and the love.
That's it. And as scripture says, the truth shall set you free. The truth will set us all free. However, some people don't want to hear truth, and that's okay.
It's so important not to get distracted.
Yes.
That's why I bring it up too, is because it's so easy to fall into that. You watch the
Oh,
coverage and you're like, and how do they not, and how do they, and it just like, again, it can be like mind
yeah.
numbing. So it's making sure that if you do watch, it's only for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, don't get
Don't get sucked in.
don't get
And
sucked.
and also to just it's a history lesson. And it's something that can, if we don't change
Yes.
how we think, how we act, what we do.
Yes. It was a history. It was a it was a um it was a bold lesson for a lot of people to wake people up and be aware. To back to spiritual bypass. Do not spiritual bypass. We're on a duality planet, Earth, here. And to not ignore what was already there. And it took one person to ignite a switch.
Yep.
To
So it's being in it and not of it.
yes.
And it's there's a balance. And I
That's
encourage people to, it's all about consciousness, all
yes,
of it.
all of it.
And I shown you this quote that I loved, and it was actually Reverend David Alt brought it up in his Sunday lesson this past week. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. called young. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. So if there is fear at the root of, if there is not enoughness at
Mm-hmm.
the root of, or not good enough, or someone told you those lies, we need to pluck those weeds.
Yes.
And there's a lot of society weeds that we can pluck, or at least
Mm-hmm.
prune.
Well, at least
we
true. Yeah.
we have that power collectively.
Yeah.
So don't ever feel, I want people that are watching to know you have power within you to change what you see.
Yes.
Because it was what was, it's not what is. What
Yes.
you're doing now, what you're believing, what you're practicing creates.
Yep. And out of January 6th will be a healing. I know that because there is a self-awareness. There's more, well, I see more compassion. Even people I know on both sides of the aisle go, I cannot believe I might. And they're like, said it was a mad, for me and some people in my family, it was a ticking time bomb that one day this was going to happen. So now there's an awareness brings truth, brings trust, brings faith and hope. Not having your head in the sand. So now there's an awareness which will bring a healing. And going back to what you said, do not sit there and keep watching it and feeling that energy, being aware and know what to hold in light, what to pray for, what to affirm for. It's a
What do we
different.
choose instead?
Yeah, what do you choose instead?
What
It's
do
like,
you
okay,
choose instead?
yep.
What do you affirm? There's been a lot of poison in the underbelly, as you
Mm-hmm,
said it.
mm-hmm,
And the truth is it brought to light a lot of things, a lot of ugliness we didn't want to see in our country has
yep.
been brought to light over the past 6 to 8 years.
Mm-hmm,
And the truth is, in the body, if there's an infection and it isn't healed, it'll go septic and it'll kill you.
yep.
And if it didn't show itself, we could have lost our democracy.
Yeah.
And now we choose to see and say, okay, now what? Now what? And now that's all it is. It's information. I didn't know, now I know I can do things differently.
Yep.
That's all of life, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Many people will get married a first time and they'll be like, it wasn't the right one. Well, you get to do it again. Thankfully, I am blessed to say I did it right. I've been married 20 years, it's 20 years in April, and he's my gift.
Yeah.
But not everyone gets that blessing. I'm his second marriage. So he knew what he didn't want, and I get the benefit of that.
Yes.
So it's all, but you know what you don't want, and you go find something different.
Mm-hmm.
In everything in life, we get to choose.
Yes.
So, what are people choosing? Those out there watching, what are you choosing for this new year? What are you choosing for you in this new year? What excites you? What motivates you? Share with us.
Mm-hmm.
Christina, what I'm going to ask you that question. What excites you about this new year?
Wonder. That's what it's almost all right. There's a part of me that has this excitement, and what I'm saying is, I know there will be, for me, not for me, but there's going to be a lot more shifts and changes. But I'm seeing an excitement of not only this year, but the years moving forward while being present. Because whenever there's been great turmoil anywhere on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years, there's always been a golden age. So that's what I'm excited. And I was sharing with you before we got on this together, I am in awe of technology. What newness is going to come through what people think are challenges, or everything's perception. But like all this easy breezy things are easy. You can have food delivered to you, Instacart and all this. It's like, there's just like, I feel the golden age is like coming. There's all these there's new opportunities as ministers for people to be entrepreneurs, for people to share their artwork, their music, their song. That's what, there's an excitement of
So
like,
much good.
yes, so much good.
It's new renaissance,
Yeah, new renaissance.
but of a different type.
Yeah, a totally different type. But it's where they had the roaring 20s that some of our ancestors went through. I mean, I remember hearing my great grandparents telling me about how great the 20s were in the music and the clothes and the food and the that deep in the South, even though they were still division because they were in their own division being Black,
You know, you can't.
but they still found
Yeah.
joy. My great grandfather was telling me, he said, "Oh, it was a beautiful time." Yeah.
Life was very different, and
Yeah.
you know, we can choose to hold on to some innocence.
Yes.
We can choose what we think about what we do,
Mm-hmm.
and we can really shower that out to the world. We get to do that. We get to choose what we think about, what we bring about. That's what we teach. But we also get to choose what we do, what we say, what we read, what we watch, and what we put out into the world. You
Yes.
know, my husband, I don't know, he'll go on Twitter and he'll find all the most negative things are out. And they're this, and they said, I'm like, I don't know what pages you're on, but my social media feeds don't have any of that.
No, I had good
I
stuff.
don't follow anyone like that. I just don't. Or you can block them, or you can snooze them, or you can do whatever. I don't get into the political stuff with
No, I don't.
anybody.
Mm-mm.
And it's like, you can believe whatever you believe, and I love you. I don't have to like everyone, but I have to love everyone. So I don't
Yes.
have to be around everyone, but
No.
I can honor you and hear what you say, and then move and make my own choices, as can each one. But we don't have to be negatively affected by everything we read either.
Oh, absolutely not.
We are not lemmings here to be, you know, to followers. We are independent, individualized expressions of divine.
Yep.
You are stardust. Whoever's listening to this at home, you are stardust. You have infinite potential. And it's so important that, especially in the beginning of a new year, that we
Well,
remember that.
and not only that, since you brought up Carl Jung in that beautiful slide, Carl Jung, the founder of individuation, that is huge. To individuate yourself. I could take 20 minutes of news. I might rant or something like that. Then later I pray about it. You individuate from it. Because for me and my household, that doesn't have to be true. Individuation is key, especially now, to focus on our dreams and visions that the universe, the divine creator, has for us. And as us, as star beings. Not shoving it down, but back to the individual. Where are you right now in the present moment?
And that's what life is being present in the presence. And you know, it's hard to believe it's another hour that's up and how quickly it went. And what you had mentioned earlier, vision boards, and I love them, and they're a wonderful tool. People can stay tuned. I'm going to be having a workshop the last Sunday of the month, and it's going to be accessible in person for Boston. You can either come to, you know, Boston. Actually, the Boston service is here on Sundays at 5. For those of you, I am the spiritual director of the Boston CSL, and you can be with us at 5 p.m. on Eastern Time on this network. So I would love for you to join us. And if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me as far as the workshop goes, and I can get you the information. I'll be bringing it up here again. But my personal contact info, you can reach out to me on Facebook or CSL Greater Boston, like our page, and my email is gina@cslboston.org. And you can reach out to soon to be Reverend Christina K. Jones. And this is her best number to reach her, is her cell. You can text, you can call. And, you know, if you don't know quite how to get there, ask someone for help. If you're wandering and you're driving in circles, you stop and ask for directions. That's what life is all about. Otherwise, you don't get there. It's not always about what if the GPS isn't working? What if that's not working? What do? Old school. You ask for directions. If you've been going in circles for years, have someone help you. It's that simple. We all need it. I never understood for the life of me. We have guidance counselors till we're out of high school.
Mhm.
That's when we need it the most. It's like as a student, there's no problem in getting guidance. But all of a sudden, at 18, you're supposed to have it all? No,
No.
absolutely not. No. So we invite you to, reach out to us and be here and know that there are people out there that are, especially at this network. We are here to help you in any way that we can. We have a prayer team. It's prayer@ntmedia.org. Again, it's prayer@ntmedia.org. And there are practitioners and ministers that are here to help you with that. And know that this network is here because of people like you. Thank you to all that donated last year. You make it possible for us to be here on this network, spreading good news to the world, because we know there's plenty of the other stuff. So be the light, help programs like this to share and shine out there. Any final words that you want to share with people as we go?
No matter what, stay in the light. Breathe and be with it. Stay, because you are light. We are all of light, and that's the truth. Everything else that's a challenge is temporary.
Ain't that the truth? This too shall pass.
This too
This
shall
too
pass.
shall pass. And to everyone, I just, all of us, we are in this time where COVID is rampant right now. And, the truth is that spirit within us is stronger than anything we walk through.
Yes.
Lean in.
Lean in.
Always there.
Help
right where you are.
Yep.
Lean in.
Mm-hmm.
Know that the power within you is greater than anything outside you. Lean in. So with that, I thank you all, and I wish you a joyous year. Keep finding the joy in the journey. It's there. Just keep looking for it. Blessings and love. Namaste. Thank you so much for being with us, Christina, and we'll see you all next Thursday.